Welcome to our Shack Learning YouTube channel. In this video, we would like to show you how to warp and weave on a frame loom. We will be demonstrating on the Lily loom, but the techniques are the same for the Shack School loom and mini loom. The first step in weaving is to warp the loom. For this demonstration, we will be warping the Lily loom with cotton carpet warp. Tie the warp yarn onto a tooth on the bottom beam. If you're going to be warping your loom with full width, begin at the edge of the loom. If you will be warping the loom for a narrower project, tie onto the edge of where your weaving will begin. We prefer to center our weavings on the loom. You can tie the warp yarn around the beam or around the beam tooth with a slip knot as we're doing here. Bring the yarn to the top beam and place it around the tooth directly above the one you started from. Now take the yarn back to the bottom beam, go around the next tooth, and back up to the top. Repeat until you have warped the width of your planned weaving. After you have finished winding all of the warp ends on your loom, temporarily secure the working end of your warp yarn around a beam tooth. Tighten the warp threads so that they are taut. To do this, start at the first measured warp and pull up on it to tighten the tension. Continue taking up slack from one warp thread to the next all the way across the warp. Take out the extra length and then again tie off the end temporarily. If the warp needs further tensioning, repeat as before until all of the warps feel evenly taut. End by tying the warp yarn onto the beam or beam tooth. Now you are ready to weave. Wind a length of yarn on the stick shuttle. Secure the end of the yarn in a hole. Then wind a figure 8 along one side, and if you want to load more yarn on your shuttle, wind a figure 8 along the other edge. The shed stick is used to hold a weaving pattern in place. Here we are inserting the shed stick under and over every other warp thread. The shed stick stays in place throughout the duration of the weaving. We made our shed stick small so that it wouldn't take up a lot of space and allow more weaving comfort. To increase the size of the shed, you can also insert the pickup stick into the narrow shed and turn it on edge. You will remove the pickup stick after weaving the first row, but leave the shed stick in place. Insert the shuttle into the shed and weave across, leaving a 2-inch tail. Insert the weft at an angle. Use the beater to press the weft into place. You can also use the narrow side of the inserted pickup stick for beading. If you inserted the pickup stick to enlarge the shed, remove it now. To weave the next shed, insert the pickup stick opposite the threads on the shed stick. For example, if a warp thread is under the shed stick, the same warp thread will be over the pickup stick. For the first row, the shed stick is inserted under and over every warp thread. For the pickup stick, you will insert the pickup stick over and under every other warp thread. Before removing the pickup stick, weave in the tail from the first row into this shed. Leave a tail hanging out the back. You will trim this off after you have removed the weaving from the loom and finished it. Weave in this manner for the duration of your project. Alternate sheds to weave a plain weave fabric. If you found this video helpful, please let others know by giving it a thumbs up. For more about weaving, our products, and project ideas, please visit our website at www.shackspindle.com.